5 days before Backlash, WWE rolled into the CHI Health Center in Omaha, Nebraska for the Go Home episode of Raw, headlined by the contract signing between Jacob Fatu and World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns. What went down when the Samoan Werewolf and the OTC were in the same ring at the same time, ahead of a high-stakes championship bout? Find out with this recap of last night's show featuring ratings and analysis from each match and segment. Hey there, welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF, Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of the phenom, Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back Thursday night for TXN Sports World. Apologies for the late start. Some things beyond our control, but better late than never. And let's get right to the action. Moments after a face-to-face altercation with World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins entered the arena to a thunderous ovation, only to be attacked from behind by Braun Breaker. The badass brutally assaulted the Architect, dropping him face first into the barricade, then sending him shoulder first into the ring steps. Breaker assaulted security before being backed off and up the ramp by General Manager Adam Pearce. Not finished with Rollins, he pushed past security and destroyed his former mentor with a spear. Breaker stood tall, talked trash to Rollins, and made his way up the ramp to close things. You saw Rollins and Roman. You're in my way, he told Roman in their brief face-to-face. This felt like a teaser for a major main event down the line, perhaps as soon as SummerSlam or as late as WrestleMania 43. Braun Breaker looked like a killer here, tearing through Rollins and leaving no doubt as to who the physically superior competitor is. Of course, based on booking trends, that would seem to suggest that Seth Rollins will go over Saturday night at Backlash. I mean, that's nothing really to get into, even though it was great. I mean, even though Breaker looked amazing. But let's just move on here to our first match of the night, which was Finn Balor one-on-one with JD McDonough. And the winner of the match, in 11 minutes and 45 seconds, it was JD McDonough. JD McDonough, by hook or by crook, scores the biggest win of his main roster career. 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5 for the effort here. This was overbooked, but it made sense within the context of the story. Dominic Mysterio has unfinished business with Finn Balor and obviously wanted him to lose. Meanwhile, there was the dark cloud of Roxanne Perez's allegiances hanging overhead, and those, at least for the time being, appear to have been answered with her involvement in the finish. The end game here is still Roxanne Perez versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship, and that should be a strong match, if and when it finally happens. Speaking of match quality, Balor and McDonough were a tad off at different points, including the aforementioned Spanish Fly, which could have been far worse for both men than it was. So I'm going to give this, like I said, 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5 stars. Like I said, by hook or by crook, it's JD's biggest main roster win. When you beat someone the caliber of a Finn Balor with everything he's done in his career, that's saying something. So, not much more. MF, JD McDonough defeating Finn Balor in 11:45. Roxanne Perez, the difference maker.
Yeah, she was. But you could also notice that, there was a promo segment before the match with Liv and Roxanne, and you kind of notice Roxanne, trying to play the right game, trying to play the nice person, but you notice Roxanne's mood, the attitude, that she's not as, into it as she used to be. So there's no doubt that at some point it looks like she will turn. It's just it's not a matter of if, it's just now a matter of when she's going to do it. But at the end of the day, yeah, this was a 3-star bout. I thought this was a solid matchup. It was a good fight, and the outcome was never in doubt. I kind of felt like JD was going to win this because of the fact that, they're going to want to continue it at some point. And I kind of feel like this war, whatever you want to say, it's gonna lead to something bigger. So, yeah, JD wins it. Good match, solid fight. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. And we move on to, yeah, there was a lot of backstage stuff. We move on to our next matchup, tag team action. Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Penta teaming up with Javon Evans. They squared off against Ethan Page and Rusev. And Ethan Page and Rusev wins the match. They win it in 10 minutes and 40 seconds. Ethan Page pinning Penta. MF, you know what that means.
Yes, it does. That means that it looks like All Ego is probably going to be the next in line for the United States. No, for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship in a championship committee moment. Look, you can say whatever you want to say. There's been a lot of people that's been pushing for Ethan to get the shot. A lot of people feels like with Ethan now on the show, the whole 9 yards, the layout, the body of work. It's one of those where it's just like, oh boy. So yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's going to be very interesting to watch, to say the very least. Ethan winning it is a big deal because now it does open the door for him to get the shot at the gold. We just got to see how it plays beyond that. But at the end of the day, yeah, they did really good. 3 stars. This is all about Ethan Page and getting the shot at the title next. So it's yours, Anthony.
Yeah. Fun, action-packed tag team bout with great energy. Ethan Page continues to look like a star of the immediate future, while Rusev has been completely rejuvenated since his performance at WrestleMania 42 in that ladder match. There are far worse options than building the Raw mid-card around these 4, especially with a workers' title like the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. Never has it been more refreshing not to see a superstar take a needless bump from the top rope through an announce table than tonight. Javon Evans does not need to take that risk on a random episode of Monday Night Raw. Save it for a premium live event. Ethan Page getting heat off of stopping him was a great call. This was another 3.25, 3.5 star match. And Ethan Page, championship committee moment, no doubt about it. And I even heard a possibility of these 4 in a possible 4-way for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship down the road. You never know. But Ethan could be the first in line for that title. So, but nonetheless, huge win for Ethan Page. Moving on. Newest NXT call-up, Sol Ruca, joined Adam Pearce in the squared circle to sign her main roster contract. Before she could put pen to paper, Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch interrupted, spoiling her big moment and confronting Adam Pearce. Ruca cut off her ramblings and called her a big-headed biatch before signing her name on the dotted line. She threatened big-time Bex, warning that if she ever interrupts her again, she will not only kick her ass, but also snatch her soul. Becky tried to sneak attack, but clocked Adam Pearce, then ate a less than stellar soul snatcher as Sol Ruca stood tall. There are not many better ways to introduce a newcomer and immediately make her feel special than by programming her against a future Hall of Famer and the greatest women's wrestler in WWE history in Becky Lynch. The Soul Snatcher was not perfect. There was a botch. There was absolutely positively a botch. But it was a huge moment for Soul, and one that kicked off a feud that should elevate her right out of the gate. So there isn't much more to say. MF, Sol Ruca and Becky, Sol Ruca's first program on the main roster, and you're putting her with Becky Lynch, possibly for the Women's Intercontinental Championship? Whoa.
It will be interesting to see how they play this, because just on the eyeball test, I don't see Sol winning the title.
No.
I actually don't. I don't see
either.
it. So, I mean, is it going to be a good match? I hope so. But again, I'm not as confident or not as sure-handed about it. I hope it's better, but it almost leaves me very concerned about how this is going to play out, honestly and truthfully. So, I mean, we'll see, but again, I'm excited and I'm optimistic, but that's the only thing. That's as much as I can say about it. So, yeah, it was fun for what it was worth, and there's nothing more to add. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right. Moving on. Speaking of call ups, we had the main roster debut for Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry going up against Austin Theory, Logan Paul in his corner. Joe Hendry wins the match via disqualification in 3 minutes and 5 seconds. All right, obviously this is going to be a cutout here, and it's not often that we have multiple cutouts on this show, but we'll get to that in a moment. But as far as this is concerned, you could probably make a call for an NA here. This was less about the match and this was less about the match and its participants than everything that occurred after it, which was repetitive and did nothing to improve upon what we already saw earlier in the show. And apparently the opening segment did such a poor job of informing the audience that Braun Breaker is an unstoppable force that we needed to see it again. This is an NA for sure. No rating for this. We're just gonna move on, and it's time for the ruler. Oba Femi, the open challenge. At first, it looked like it was going to be Akira Tozawa, but then it ended up being Otis. This was an MF and Big E special. Two big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it did not last long. Oba Femi wins the match in 1 minute and 50 seconds. But there is no denying that Oba is over like Grover. I mean, Corey Graves even said it on commentary. Oba Femi is becoming a phenomenon in this business. And he is not wrong at all. Oba Femi is the most physically impressive superstar on the roster, and this open challenge, if handled correctly, could be a throwback to Bill Goldberg's undefeated streak in WCW that ran from 1997 to 1998. Make that September of 97 all the way to the 98 Starrcade. Maxine Dupree accompanied Otis and Tozawa to the ring, but moments earlier was caught in the background backstage having a discussion with Austin Theory. This is not the first time. Making her the first lady of the Vision would hardly be the worst call. That's something we have to keep an eye on for sure. So 1 to 1.5, obviously, because it was so short, but what Oba did in this match, those couple of things he did to Otis, that throw when he threw Otis across the ring, and then with that fall from grace, I mean, man alive. He
was actually very
else.
creative with the fall from grace because he didn't really pick him up to do it.
No,
he actually grabbed him, put him in the corner, and then was able to lift him up. Just pure strength, pure power, and drove him right to the mat. That is a feat in itself. Like that's something that I think it makes Oba's aura just that much more awesome because of the fact of that he did it in such a way that was very different from what he would have done. So I think that's why a lot of fans were really kind of loving what we saw, especially from Oba Femi, and Oba's just continuing his rise. That's, there's not many people that can say that he's doing what he's doing, and it's just, he's just getting better and better by the day, man.
I would be shocked if he's not the World Heavyweight Champion by the end of this year. I wouldn't.
Oh,
I would
no.
be shocked.
It's to that point now where it's like
Lesnar.
He's at that. He's getting that Lesnar. He's at that Lesnar push. Yeah.
like when Brock Lesnar debuted the night after Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestleMania 18, and
Mm-hmm.
5 months later he won the WWE Championship from The
Mm-hmm.
Rock, no less,
Mm-hmm.
in the main event of the greatest SummerSlam of all time to this day.
Yes.
So, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
So, keep an eye on SummerSlam. Keep an eye on King and Queen of the Ring, because if they do it, he's winning it. He's going to SummerSlam. He's winning the title. There's no doubt about it. So, unless they have something else planned, but we'll see. 6-man tag team action. The original El Grande Americano, along with Bruto and Julio, squaring off against the other El Grande Americano, along with Bravo and Rayo. And it was the original El Grande Americano, Bruto and Julio, winning the match in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. All right. 2.5, 2 3/4 for this. I got to be honest. I don't, if I get heat for this, I wouldn't be surprised if I do, but I got to be the man who tells it like it is. And we wouldn't be doing what we do if we didn't do that. And I got to be honest with you. This feud cannot end soon enough. As great as it has been in AAA, it has been equally as tough to follow on Monday nights, with the creative suggesting fans are meant to cheer the OG Americano, despite the entire feud being booked to position Ludwig Kaiser's El Grande Americano as the babyface. With that said, this was quite the tag match, with action all over the place and a reminder of how great Rayo, Bravo, and the Creeds are. Maybe getting them increased TV time after this whole thing blows over would be a quality move. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. Not much more to say. MF, original El Grande Americano and Bruto and Julio winning the match 8:05.
Why on earth is WWE saddling the Creeds with stupid gimmicks? Like, what are you
Right.
doing? What are you
Exactly.
doing? Like,
Exactly.
AAA is one thing. Like, that storyline in AAA, oh, that thing is fire. Like, absolutely insane what went down on Saturday. And then to have the Creed show up and do what they did, which was perfect because it fits the narrative. And they almost did something that almost crossed the line. And thank God Rayo and Bravo showed up. Because if they would have done this, this would have been the ultimate disrespect in Mexico. They had the American flag after they put El Grande Americano through the table, and they were going to lay the American flag over him. They almost did it. Almost did it. That moment would have been an international incident before our very eyes. We almost had a war breakout between the US and Mexico. Like you've never seen before. Thank God for Rayo and Bravo that they hit the ring when they did to stop that. But the thing is, it's not translating on Monday Night Raw, and it's not the fault of the wrestlers. But I kind of feel like creative they like to try to present it in a different light. I don't think it works. So that's why, like I said, AAA is the best wrestling in the world today. And it is. It is. They gotta figure it out on in when it comes to the States. It's like they got it, but it's not all there. It's good, but it's not great. Yeah, 2 stars, but it's yours.
All right. I haven't I don't really have anything to announce for next week's show. So what we'll do is we'll just move on to the contract signing. World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns sat at the head of the table, talking to Jacob Fatu ahead of their match Saturday night at Backlash, took exception to the quote-unquote disrespect shown him, and claimed to have brought the Samoan werewolf into the company by way of bringing in Solo Sikoa. Jacob reiterated his motivation for targeting Roman, then broke out the same Tongan death grip that he used last week to leave the OTC lying this week. He signed the contract to close out the show. This felt like a segment that existed for the sake of having one, with no real newsworthy development or angle to make Saturday's match any more interesting than it already is. The WWE Universe is also tone deaf to the story at play, treating Roman like he is the babyface in this narrative, ignorant to the fact that the OTC regained his title, his position at the head of the table, and his role as gaslighting heel of WWE. Jacob Fatu does not stand a chance of winning this weekend, but it is great to see him in a position to be a top guy in WWE in the long term. I will say that. So there isn't much more. MF, do you want to give a quick thought, or you just want to get to the overall review?
Let's get into overall review. I kind of feel like it was a step down from Monday Night Raw. It wasn't as strong, as good, as powerful. Like, we've been saying how Raw's been cooking. I kind of feel like they took a step back. It didn't feel like the power or the amazingness that we've had in the past. Now, I'm not saying it was a bad show, but I can only give this maybe a 7 out of 10. And I'm being very generous with that number. So, yeah, 7 out of 10. Anthony, it's yours.
My MVP of this week's show was Seth freaking Rollins. Seth Rollins was the MVP of last night's show, not only for bumping around the ring to put Braun Breaker over ahead of Backlash, but also for his place at the center of larger stories. First, he faced off with Roman Reigns, teasing a match that is coming sooner rather than later. It would be their first one-on-one bout since the 2022 Royal Rumble, and a long-awaited bout between former Shield teammates. Second, he faced the fact that no one in the company likes or trusts him, thanks to the years of deceit and the countless burned bridges along the way. How he endears himself to them, and which superstar steps up and accepts him first, will be of great interest in the coming weeks and months. While Roman is around and CM Punk is not far away, Seth Rollins will be the centerpiece of the show for the foreseeable future. As for the overall review, this was a solid show, even if the main event segment did not deliver as one would hope ahead of Backlash. Everything leading up to the contract signing was great, with strong in-ring action, some intriguing storyline developments, and another impressive showing from Obafemi. A focused, intense show from WWE Creative earns this one a decent rating. I'm right around that 7 to 7.5 threshold. If I had to give it a letter grade, slight disagreement with UMF, I would actually give this a B+. B+ would be my letter grade for this edition of Monday Night Raw. So that is that, and now we're going to move on to NXT from earlier this evening. NXT promised to continue rebuilding the foundation of the brand with tonight's show. Zarya was set to appear for the first time since defeating Sol Ruca in that epic last woman standing match a couple weeks ago. While Callie Armstrong met Jada Parker and Jasper Troy looked to make an example of Jackson Drake, AAA mixed tag champions Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana collided with the Cullings, Izzy Dame and Nico Vance. This and more highlighted a night of fresh surprises in a new look NXT. And we start off with this matchup here. Whoa, what a match we got here. This was a match that we had some excitement going into because of how athletically gifted both of these young ladies are. And what a way to start it off then with this matchup here. Jada Parker squaring off against Callie Armstrong. Callie Armstrong wins the match in 9 minutes and 53 seconds. This was a good match, though it relied more on the flash and athleticism of the competitors than any building story. In particular, Callie is an explosive performer that has not quite mastered the art of selling her character in the action, working a bit too safe. Working at this next level in NXT should help her figure that out because she already has all the physical tools based on how dominant she worked in this match. Miss Parker feels lost at this stage of NXT, but this loss could be a catalyst to push her up the card with more character growth. Hopefully that is the plan because the only reason she and Kalani Jordan should still be in NXT is to go after the NXT Women's Championship. Crowd was fully behind Miss Parker in this one, though Armstrong was slow to fully play the heel. And Miss Parker, you saw it. She sold her frustration afterward in the corner, indicating recent losses may be hurting her confidence and force a character evolution. Solid 3 stars, teetering on 3.25. Callie Armstrong with her biggest NXT win since she got called up to NXT from Evolve. She is a former Evolve Women's Champion, and who knows, a win like this could be the beginning of bigger and better things for her. So, not much more. MF, Callie Armstrong defeating Jada Parker 9:53, 3 to 3.25 the rating.
Yeah, no, it was a big win for her. There's no doubt about it. You can even make an argument that this was the biggest win of her career up to this point. 3 stars for me. I thought they did a really good job. Nothing more to say. So, Floyd, it was yours.
All right. Lot of backstage stuff, and Tony D'Angelo, he went into General Manager Robert Stone's office and he demanded a match with Tavion Heights, and Mr. Stone said yes. And then you saw the members of Birthright in their locker room, and who showed up? Finley, Uriah Connor's father. That's Finley. And he had someone on the phone. He had a phone call. And who was on the other side of that call? The greatest general manager in NXT history, Mr. Regal. And Mr. Regal, well, he said he already sent his own son, Charlie Dempsey, to the Snake Pit in England to prepare for a 6-man tag that Birthright will have next week. Yeah, memo to you, Birthright kids. Memo to you. You better step up your game because you do not want Finley or Mr. Regal pissed off at you. MF and I know. We know how Finley and Regal, we know how they get. Oh,
and supposedly that Snake Pit, that's not... Anybody remembers the Hart Family Dungeon? The Snake Pit in England, which I think is in Blackpool, which is, I think this is the where Regal has done his training back in the day.
Step up, Birthright.
Yeah.
Step up.
Nothing more to say on that, ladies and gents.
And then we had the video package of Evil. Evil, they had a vignette of Evil. You're like, there's no way that WWE's going to let him keep that name in WWE, NXT, or what have you. And we were correct. He has a new name, and his new name is Naraku. Naraku is his name. Not pretty decent. That's not too bad. I mean, I kind of like it myself. So, Naraku. Cooler name than the generic word evil. And next week, MF, Naraku, Evil. He's going to make his NXT in-ring debut. And MF knows, you know what this man is capable of.
I know what he's capable of. And here's the kicker, Anthony. Credit to my good friend Bill McConnell because he did some research on this one. Naraku means hell or bottomless pit.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the name is derived from. So
He's in action. He's going to make his NXT in-ring debut next week. Oh man, I can't wait. I don't watch New Japan as much as MF does. I don't watch it as religiously as he does, but even I know I'm going to be in for a treat next week. I never really saw Evil wrestle before, but I can't wait to see it. All right. Okay. Next up, we have Jasper Troy squaring off against Jackson Drake. Jackson Drake had the NXT Tag Team Champions, Ricky Smokes and Brad Baylor, in his corner. Jackson Drake wins the match in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Micah Lockwood, I guess we could call her the muscle of the Vanity Project, and she showed why she is just that. She picked up Jasper Troy and slammed him. I think that reminds us of a certain moment. Remember when Lash Legend did that to Otis some time ago?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
I was about to go there, and you kind of stole it away from me, Florio. Yeah, I remember that. Holy.
Jackson Drake in 718. MF. Micah Lockwood. She slammed Jasper Troy?
Yeah.
Whoa.
He did. Kind of got a major pop out of the crowd. Got a major pop from the commentary crew. Definitely raised my eyebrows and your eyebrows on that one.
Absolutely.
This was easily 3 stars. So yeah, this was a solid matchup. Could have been better in certain areas. I'm not gonna say much about it, but that body slam really stole the segment. That's an MVP moment if there ever was one. So absolutely nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Is it just me, or seeing Micah Lockwood with Vanity Project, doesn't that kind of remind you of China and the original D-Generation X?
Yes, absolutely. Or you could even there's a few different women you can utilize who has that kind of build, that power, that strength, where you could feel like they become the heavy for that crew. And yeah, that's exactly what I would have said for that. Yes.
Asia with the Revolution in
Yep.
WCW.
Yep.
Midnight with that I guess we could call bootleg version of Harlem Heat.
Yep.
In the later WCW days. And yeah, that is certainly not the bad thing. Jackson Drake can play the chicken heel and have that powerhouse Micah Lockwood clean up the messes for him.
Yeah. Easy.
So then we had a 2.5 to 2 3/4 is my rating for that. And then a vignette of another debuting newcomer, Tristan Angels. He's going to be coming in. And then we had the promo segment from Zarya. But let me quickly get into the match here. Decent match, but struggled with flow, particularly when Jasper was in control. His inexperience was obvious in comparison to Jackson, who was trying his best to bump strong for the big man. The match itself told its story as Jasper Troy overwhelmed the Vanity Project, but was not ready for the impressive strength of Micah Lockwood. Still, it would have been better to let Jackson Drake take more of a confident lead to build heat before Troy's comeback and the interference. If nothing else, this segment solidified Lockwood as the newest member of Vanity Project, and she's got a distinctive look and power, giving off China vibes that should get her far. That's 2.5, 2 3/4 for that. Zarya arrived with confident swagger and reveled in her freedom from Sol Ruka. She declared her intention to take the Women's North American Championship. The champion, Tatum Paxley, arrived, sympathizing with her anger, but warning that she was not going to let anyone take her title away. And then, what's NXT without what I call a revolving door segment? Enter Lizzie Rain, followed quickly by Nikita Lyons to call their shot. Lyons and Rain began to brawl, but it was Zarya that laid out everybody, including Nikita and Tatum, to stand tall. The constant interruption segment is an NXT staple, or as I call it, the revolving door. that never leads to the best segments, as no one gets enough time to really make an impact. Luckily, though, Zarya opened and closed the segment to solidify herself as the clearest threat to Tatum Paxley right now. Lizzie Rain does not need an extended feud with Nikita Lyons, but putting her right into the championship scene is rather interesting. And the real goal, though, should be to extend Paxley versus Zarya to at least the next premium live event and give them time to deliver. So there's not much more to say on that. All right. Originally, this next match was originally scheduled to be the main event, but they ended up moving it up to a little earlier in the show. The AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions, Mr. Iguana, and the NXT Women's Champion, Lola Vice. They teamed up against the Cullings, Nico Vance and Izzy Dame. Sean Spears in their corner. Winners of the match. In 11 minutes and 28 seconds, Izzy Dame and Nico Vance. Izzy Dame pinning Lola Vice for the win. This was a good match with terribly formulaic booking. Despite competing against the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions, Izzy Dame and Nico Vance often held the dominant position in this match. Their win was not about the AAA titles, but Izzy getting a shot at Lola and the NXT Women's Championship. There is no reason NXT needed to weaken the AAA champion's position to further an NXT storyline. This should have been a chance for Lola to get some revenge while Iguana went over Nico Vance. Lola should not be taking non-title losses this early in her reign, especially against an inconsistent Izzy Dame who has lost multiple big matches recently. The positive was that Iguana and Lola flowed well throughout the bout, delivering the best action of the night to this point by a wide margin. Nico Vance is also getting better with recent opportunities. He and Izzy look good together, if not good enough to beat the only mixed champions in WWE right now. This was originally supposed to be when Tony D'Angelo fought Tavion Heights and Cam Hendricks attacked the champion before he could head out. And so that's the story on that. So not much more. 3 1/4, 3.5 for the effort. So MF, we saw it. We talked about it on our Raw recap. Ethan Page getting a championship committee moment. Izzy Dame just got herself one as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. Big shocking win for her. And yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a shocking outcome, but you know, it was a fine matchup for what it was worth. It was about a 2.5 to 3 star bout. I thought they did a fine job. Really nothing more to add. And yeah, let's just move on.
All right. And we then move on to another tag team match. It was Hank and Tank. They squared off against Dark State's Osiris Griffin and Cutler James. And it was Cutler James and Osiris Griffin. They win the match in 11 minutes and 59 seconds. MF, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, fine matchup, fine battle. They did a pretty good job with it. I think it could have been better, but you know, I'm not gonna be too mad about it. I thought they did a fine job. I want to say maybe like another 2.5 to 3 for me. I thought they did a fine job. So Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. This was fine. It was fine, but hardly the inspiring effort one would expect of two rising tag teams in NXT. In particular, James and Griffin relied heavily on Hank and Tank's explosiveness to get the crowd invested in this match at all. Despite Hank and Tank doing the heavy lifting, they never really sold themselves as a real threat to win against Dark State. All of the Dark State drama is not interesting, and it is leading to fairly flat performances in what should be big match moments. Hopefully this win will get the group back on track. Our NXT is ready to break up Lennox and Sugars sooner than later. But I am going to give it 3 1/4 to 3.5 for the effort, though. Even though Lennox and Sugars were completely unable to work together during this match, but they stayed out of the action down the stretch. In the locker room, Jada Parker crashed out, causing a mess until Natty appeared to question if Miss Parker had gone soft. And then Kalani Jordan mocked Lola Vice until Kendall Gray arrived to challenge Kalani Jordan. And in the best segment of the night outside, new NXT correspondent Emily Agard. She's from Canada. She worked in Canada previously. She tried to interview Keanu Carver, who was aggravated by her questions. He clarified that he was making money for his family and refused to play games with anyone. And there was a moment after that match where Booker T and Vic Joseph lost audio. So, yeah. So 3.25, teetering on 3.5 for that tag match. And that's all there is to it. And next week, we will have the in-ring debut of Naraku, aka Evil. Kendall Gray, one-on-one with Kalani Jordan. And Jackson Drake goes one-on-one with the returning Noam Dar. Yes, Noam Dar is back in WWE, and I hope and pray that this young man can stay healthy this time, because he has had so many injury problems over the last couple years or so. I hope and pray that he can that he'll be good to go this time around. Main event of the evening. This was a non-title match. The NXT champion, Tony D'Angelo, one-on-one with Tavion Heights. Tony D wins the match, 10 minutes and 20 seconds, the time of the fall. All right, a lot of craziness here. It was Cam Hendricks. He got involved. Miles Bourne got involved. And then that mystery man from last week announced himself as Mason Rook. Solid main event where Tony D gave Tavion a strong spotlight for his grappling style. It was surprising, though, that the champion did not get more strong offensive sequences. The ending was a complete miss as NXT tries to sell the chaos of the New Look brand by overusing Cam Hendricks, who has done nothing to make himself stand out. Especially with Rook and Naraku on the hunt for Tony D, the champion should have picked up a clean victory to put one of those challengers behind him. Instead, Hendricks has somehow introduced himself into both the NXT and North American Championship pictures, while doing little to sell why he should be in either. As far as the odd presentation of Mason Rook, this week made him look like a more realistic threat to Tony D, but has yet to sell him fully, especially since he is the only guy in NXT right now that Vic Joseph supposedly does not know. So, crowd was awkwardly inconsistent with their reactions to the main event, even losing interest quickly in an attempted dueling chant for both men. But Tony D is over with the fans, but NXT has work to do in selling any of these new challengers as immediate threats to the NXT champion. 3 to 3.25 stars. My rating for the main event. MF, your thoughts? Tony D over Tavion Heights, 10-20.
Yeah, 3.25. You're right. I thought they did a really good job with it. The overbook was exactly that, an overbook. I wish they would have done better with it, but I'm not mad about it. I can live with it. So yeah, nothing more to say. Anthony, final thought, overall review. I mean, it was fine. 7 out of 10. I mean, it could have been better in certain areas, but I won't say it was the worst show in the world, but it wasn't anything that would have blown me away either. So solid, pretty good. You got final say tonight.
If I had to put a letter grade on this show, MF, it would be a C+. I thought this was a C+ show. For the second week in a row, NXT has presented a new focus: chaos. The brand is bombarding fans with new faces and rush stories to sell the show as must-see television, but it is still less exciting and more unfocused. The presentation of certain stars like Naraku and Lizzie Rain remained strong. Mason Rook stood out as well, but he is suffering so far from being just one of many attacks attacking Tony D'Angelo. Tristan Angels and Keanu Carver made the most of pre-tape promo time, and Shiloh Hill and the Vanity Project feel like foundational stars on the New Look roster. The matches were mostly forgettable with some rough booking, particularly in a women's division that has way more established stars that could be highlighted. Next week would be a good time to slow down. Let Tony D'Angelo, Lola Vice, Tatum Paxley, and Miles Bourne stay in the back and watch a new crop of talent sell themselves to the NXT faithful. I'll agree, 7 out of 10. I believe that's the correct rating for it. So with that, that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you again on Thursday night at 10:30, right back here on the Tone 25 for another edition of TXN Sports World, where we will preview the second round of the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs, and we will get into some UFL. We'll preview this week's UFL action on Thursday night. And then Friday night, 11 p.m., immediately following SmackDown, hop on over to MF's channel, BraceFan 95. We got the Cerebral Smack Talk. It'll be TNA Impact. It'll be Friday Night SmackDown. And it will be our preview of the WWE Backlash pay-per-view. And then Saturday night, time to be determined, it will be our recap of said Backlash pay-per-view. That's on Saturday. And then 1 week from tonight, we do it all over again. Ridiculously Raw, the fallout from Backlash on the Raw side and NXT. So there you have it. So that's it. So until Thursday night for TXN Sports World, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the phenom Michael Bullock, and always and forever our first lady, the one and only Twisted Angel Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Thursday night, for TXN Sports World, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.